Lynsey.
Hello.
Hello. Can you please introduce us and introduce yourself to us, and also what you do and all that jazz.
Sure. It was Lynsey Balloch.
Excellent.
Great start.
It's already off to a good start. Great. Tick.
I'm an actress and writer / theatre maker, and I run workshops, performance workshops.
Excellent. Any particular kind of performance workshops that you run?
So I teach Meisner, the Meisner technique, which is an acting technique, and movement as well.
Lovely. Well, thank you for being here today.
It's my pleasure.
We're going to start with chatting about your poem, Uprooting, which you very kindly let me read. And I was just wondering if you could kind of tell us, from your experience writing it, what were the themes that were conscious in your mind and what was the story that you wanted to tell with this poem?
The poem's about a magnolia tree, and it was based on a real tree that was outside my parents' house. And I just knew that I wanted to write a poem about it. I didn't really know what was going to happen with it, but yeah, that was the initial inspiration for it.
Lovely. And the magnolia tree, first of all, the poem is just really sad, but also really beautiful. And I feel like the magnolia tree is this kind of Mother Nature, kind of like goddess figure that guides the narrator. And that's really lovely.
Yes, ended up being a lot like, it became more of a feminine figure in the poem than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So do you feel like as you were writing it, it was kind of like this character of the magnolia tree emerged almost through you writing it, and you were like, oh wow, it was almost like the character bloomed as you were writing it.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think there was this theme of kind of girlhood, femininity that grew with it as the poem went on.
I think as well, with your particular interest in the Gothic, there is often in Gothic literature this interweaving of nature and Gothic horror. It's almost like nature is something that can't be controlled, just like, villains in Gothic stories, like in Dracula, like the forest is just as kind of creepy and mysterious and dangerous as Dracula. Do you remember when you were first really inspired by the Gothic? Was there like a film or a book that you read as a kid, or I don't know, something you loved as a teenager, like My Chemical Romance? Whoop whoop.
I did love My Chemical
I know
Romance.
you did.
Oh, okay. But
yeah,
no, I was actually I was terrified of Gothic stuff growing up.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
I didn't like scary things.
No way.
I would watch scary things and not be able to sleep.
Oh my gosh.
I was the kid that used to go down to my parents and in the middle of the night and be like, I can't sleep.
That is crazy.
Did you watch something scary? Yes. Or I would read like the tiniest thing in a book or see an illustration, and I'd be haunted by it.
Really?
I couldn't do it. And then I watched Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow when I was about 12.
Yeah.
It was like I challenged myself to watch it. I had this weird thing as well of like I hate decapitation in films as well. So I was like, that's the film to like challenge me with.
Oh yeah.
It's about a headless horseman.
Of course, yeah.
And then I watched it and I was like, oh, it's a very beautiful film. And it's not that scary. And then from there, it just seemed to me like I wasn't as scared of it anymore.
That's really interesting.
I mean, I still do get scared by things that I watch sometimes, but I don't know, I'm a bit kind of detached from it a little bit in a way. So after I saw that, I then started getting more into... Like, I always liked Roald Dahl. We've discussed this before, but Roald Dahl wrote horror stories. So then I got into reading those kind of things. And I don't know, again, if maybe it's because it's a whimsical, like a whimsical person from childhood telling nasty stories that sort of eased me into that. And then I found short stories by sort of Shirley Jackson and Patricia Highsmith and people like that. And then just became more and more obsessed.
Interesting. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Roald Dahl, because even though he did write like specific adult stories that were, horrible and gothic, there was also an element of kind of like horror sometimes to his children stories. Like you had, I remember as a kid, I fell in love with the enormous crocodile because I was like, great, he eats everyone.
Well, going back to me, like not being able to look at stuff, I couldn't read George's Marvelous Medicine for a long time.
Oh, that's interesting.
I read it kind of quite obsessively as a kid, and then for whatever reason I became very like triggered by the grandmother in that story, because she is absolutely, she's horrendous.
She is horrendous.
And I think there was like a really horrible illustration of her in it.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And there's a bit at the end where I don't know if like she dies.
I can't remember.
But it's almost like she can't be killed almost a bit.
Oh, so
I mean,
creepy.
she does go in the end, but it was like, I was absolutely terrified of that book.
I also got really, I still hate beards to this day because of the twits. Because there's a description of, is it Mr. Twit? And he's got all of like the food in his beard. And I was like, well, that's me done now. I can't stand beards because that's just Frank. Yeah, so I guess you mentioned Roald Dahl and Tim Burton and Shirley Jackson, did you say?
Yeah.
So you kind of touched on Roald Dahl and the kind of the horror that goes with that. What is it about the other writers, and specifically the female writers that you mentioned, that you really like, and what draws you to them as writers?
I've always liked the other, like the exploration of the other in short story form, but like in most fiction that I read. And Patricia Highsmith and Shirley Jackson do quite a good job of that. Like I know Shirley Jackson writes a lot about isolation and I think I'm trying to think of what else draws me to it other than I just like the fact that women are capable of writing really nasty things.
I quite enjoy that too. It's quite satisfying, and also it's quite nice to have a woman writing about othering that isn't always making the women the other. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or it's like if the woman is the other or is othered, it almost comes from like a place of deeper understanding. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and there's something quite satisfying about like female rage as well, and when that comes out in books and programs, and it's really great to like see a woman completely lose her shit. It's just very satisfying, because I think I don't know what you think about this, but I know obviously women are socialised to kind of not be too much, not make a fuss. So when that is broken, it can feel like very liberating to see.
The play I was just doing with with some children, there was one young performer in that. It was Dracula.
Oh, great.
And they were playing a female Van Helsing.
Oh, great.
And so they wanted to take the full liberty of, the scene where Lucy Westenra reincarnates as a vampire.
Yes, yeah.
And they have to dispose of her. She took the full liberty of like getting a fake head, and blood packets and a stake, and went full on, and sawing off the head and blood spurting everywhere.
Wow!
I loved that.
Oh, I love that. So you're performing in in June. So on the 7th of June, you're performing in a night called What the Folk. Lovely title. With Ghosted Ink at the Libra in Camden. And this is a company that you performed with before, and you actually won a prize at the last night didn't
Yes.
you?
Yes,
We're going
I
to make
did.
you say it.
Yes, I did.
Which is obviously big congratulations.
Thank you.
So you've been welcomed back again this night to perform a new piece, isn't it? And this is what you've been working on.
Yes.
Yeah.
The piece is called Black Anise.
Black Alice.
Anise.
Anise.
Yeah, I know, it's a weird name.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's based on a real folktale.
Oh. And this is like a perfect niche for you, right? Because it's, because I'm right in understanding that Ghosted Inc. specifically write horror. Their nights are based around horror stories.
They're all horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember we had a discussion a while back where there wasn't really a huge amount of theatre that was on that was kind of horror based, it seemed like a while back, and now it seems like there's more of an interest in it.
Yeah,
And
I definitely think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder where that's come from. Because it's great. Because before that, it was kind of like the only thing that you could kind of see that was horror-ish was The Woman in Black.
And then 222 A Ghost Story.
Yeah, exactly.
Recently.
Yeah.
But yeah. I feel like there's a lot more women writing in horror as well recently. Yeah.
Definitely. And I love it because, you know, ghost stories are fantastic, and, you know, we both love Danny Robbins as well.
Oh, yes.
Big up Uncanny. And it's, I think that it's great to see horror in theatre, because even if you think of like big theatres in London, they all have their own little ghost stories.
Yeah.
And it's just really fun.
It's more scary.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Definitely.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I saw The Woman in Black, I couldn't sleep.
Oh my God,
afterwards.
same. I was terrified. I was so terrified. I couldn't sleep.
I had to sleep. No, I had to sleep with the light on, like the lights fully on. And I remember I was probably about 10 when I watched it. I was like, "Oh, I've seen her, so my child will die." I'm 10.
Like, no, I'm cursed. Did the urge to write stuff for yourself come out of necessity because you wanted to write things for yourself to give yourself a platform as an actor, which we know when you're an actor it can be quite difficult to get auditions or get jobs, so, you know, often people make their own stuff? Or was it the fact that you've always had an urge to write and they just kind of nicely complemented each other and worked together? What was your kind of way in?
I guess the latter. But the intention behind writing for acting was always a bit like, I'm tired of not working. I just want I want to write my own stuff now. But before that, I have always enjoyed writing stuff. I had like a writing block for a long time. And then I got back into it by going, well, we've had this conversation before.
Oh, please.
But there's a really good, one who does want to write, there's this really good online competition called 53 Word Story. Where they do it once a month. You submit a story in 53 words.
So like flash fiction.
Yeah. Based on a topic that they give you. And I just found that quite a nice challenge to do for a while.
Nice prompts.
Like, because it's quite hard to write something in 53 words. So
Really
it exercises your brain quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then once you've written it, you're a bit like, oh, I have a snapshot into a bigger story there.
And that was your way out of writer's block?
Yes.
And do you still use that tool now if it comes up again, or have you got other tools that you use?
Sometimes I do. I journal now.
Great. Do you journal in the mornings or in the evenings?
Both.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, both. Like a brain dump.
Love it, yes.
Yeah. Which is helpful. Sometimes you'll write, even if it's just one line in a sea of nonsense.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I was journaling for a while because I didn't complete it, which I know is such a cliche, but I was doing the artist way, and Julia Cameron, the author, she recommends doing like morning pages, which is like journaling, and when I got into the flow of it, it was really helpful because it just kind of it allows you to take stock a bit of all the junk you've got going around in your brain.
Yes,
Yeah.
because like even if it doesn't help you with a piece that you actually want to work on, you're like, okay, at least I'm channeling out all this garbage.
All the garbage,
that I've had lingering up there. Now maybe there's a bit of space for something else.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So, in terms of if there was anybody that was kind of at the beginning of their sort of like actor journey or writer journey, what would you suggest to people? Like, what would you suggest somebody just starting out, or what would you say, don't do that because I did this and I wouldn't recommend it, or that you did really enjoy and that you'd recommend?
I suppose, do you mean specifically for writing, or like acting, like writing for?
Either really. Like, it's because I know that you're an actor and a writer, so those two disciplines kind of merge together sometimes. So whatever.
I would say for anyone who just wants to write, I would say never be embarrassed to just write. Start writing something, and if it's rubbish and peters out, just keeping it. There's so many things that I've like picked up from years back, and then it's gone on to make something else. And I probably at the time never thought it would. So that I've always found useful.
So keeping your old drafts of things and
even if it went absolutely nowhere.
Interesting.
Because like some writing is better than no writing.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Then also, I guess the journaling thing, I personally think that's a really helpful way in. And then with like writing for anything you want to perform, I would say I had a block for a long time of having, I don't know, teachers or other opinions saying that performing your work is your own stuff is not the way forward.
Yeah.
So I kind of got quite stubborn about that for a long time and was like, no, I'm just going to seek opportunities. I'm not gonna do my own stuff. And so my advice would always be actually do it sooner. It sooner. Because I kind of wished I'd done it sooner now.
Like for me, I used to feel a lot of pressure as well of any time I wrote anything that was like a play or a monologue, that I'd have to perform it. So that was like a big pressure I put on myself. And then when I let it go, I was like, oh, I'm actually writing characters I really like, and it doesn't matter if I'm not performing them or not. And that was also quite liberating.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also got stuck in for a little while of, I mean, this was a double-edged sword. I found it motivating when I started out writing again to submit stuff for competitions and things like that. More because it gives you a deadline and it gives you a reason to start doing it. So it builds up that traction. But then I would advise not, like, write for you, don't write for a competition.
Yeah. Because it can end up, sometimes it can feel a bit upsetting if you've written all of these things specifically for competitions, and then if you don't win, you can be a bit like, oh,
You can feel like it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Whereas that's never really the case.
No.
I mean, even this poem that you've now read for me, I submitted that on to so many competitions and it's been rejected.
Yeah. It goes that way.
But now,
yeah, exactly. Now we've
done this project with it.
Yeah.
I guess it can give you a bit of a I've gone through this where I was a bit like, oh well, if I win a couple of competitions, I'm a writer now.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Whereas it doesn't work like that. You have to be like, no, I'm already a writer.
Exactly. It's such a mindset shift, isn't it? Where you just have to actually think like, no, I'm gonna take a punt on myself, and just do it, even though like I don't have an agent, or I haven't got a published thing, or I haven't won a competition, whatever the marker is that you think will make you official. You just gotta go for it. It's hard, isn't it?
Because even if you do win competitions, you're like, okay, well I won that now.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah. What's next?
And the only thing is to just keep writing for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And that's kind of where I think the more truthful stuff comes out anyway, if you're just writing for yourself. And like for yourself, you're writing a lot of horror, which is so true to who you are and what your interests are. And if you were writing to kind of fit the common themes of what's in vogue at the moment, it might not be that. but because you're doing it because you love it, the poems like this one come across as so truthful and beautiful and honest. And that's probably the best place to write from, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
I'd agree.
yeah.